This video I'm going to cover the topic of how to connect your PTZ camera so you can control it directly from a joystick. So there's three elements to this. There's the PTZ, there's the DVR, and there's a joystick itself. Now in this case it's all going to be Hikvision. It's all extremely straightforward. Anything that I'm not doing on screen directly in front of you I'll quickly explain, but it's only a little bit of hard wiring really to speed up the process there. But there's no setting of menus, anything like that. It's just extremely straightforward, and it will be regardless which brand you're using. So the first thing I'm going to do is the PTZ needs three inputs, okay, or outputs is a combination of. So the first thing is here is the power unit that we're connecting here. It's a 24 volt and it's hardwired in here, and we'll see there's two connections going in, a red and a black, and they're reversible. It doesn't matter which you use, okay? So that's the first thing on it. The next thing here we're going to do is we're just going to look at this BNC connection here, and the BNC connection is actually running the picture from the PTZ, so we can run it directly over to our DVR over here. So I'm just going to connect this on here, and I'll just connect that in there now. So what's happening here is that is the PTZ is now operating thing, and it's after bringing up a menu here, and it'll probably rotate like crazy here, but that's fine. Now, so we have power, we have picture. The final thing, of course, we want is control. And control is extremely important to us simply because we want to be able to spin the PTZ and zoom in where we watch it and all the rest of it here. So, so I'm just going to kill this menu on the screen there if I can, or that's actually probably directly off of there. So what I'm going to do at this particular point in time is I am now going to come along and we're going to run a control cable directly from here. So if we look over here, there's a control input here on it, and we're using a Cat5 cable to do it, but only a single pair. The orange there is going to the positive, and the white is going to the negative. And over here on this, at the back of the DVR itself, we have an RS485, and again it'll be marked positive and negative, with the orange going to the positive there. So we're just going to connect that up, and that's how we're able to bring the menu directly up on the screen. Okay. So now what we have is we have an ability from the DVR to send the control signal over here. But what we have to do at this point in time is we have to actually connect in the PTZ or the joystick itself. So we'll see with this one here, it's actually a Hikvision one, and what it has is it has a USB type port on it. So we just use the free USB port that's on the back of the unit here. And effectively it's saying, now I'm in range, I can go and do it. Now this particular PTZ here, you can use this button here. If there's only one light on, up on the top here, it means it's set up to be worked directly in conjunction with a PC or a laptop. And in a conjunction like this, it's set up to be worked with the PTZ itself, okay? So if we come along here, we'll say, and I try to spin the camera or do something like this, we can't get anything on it, okay? In terms of the picture thing, and I'll just go back to, we'll just bring it up on the multi-screen here, and there we have it. We'll just click in there. So what we could do is, but there's no adjusting it there left and right because it's not in a mode where we'll be able to operate it. So what we need to do is bring up the actual PTZ operational menu on the screen. So we can do that in one of two ways. We can bring it up from the screen here, and we can choose PTZ control, bring the menu up like that. I'm just going to exit out there. Or the other thing here is what we can actually do is just press down, we bring it up in that manner. And all of a sudden now, I bring myself, my cameraman in, and you can zoom in and zoom out. And that's just basically it. So the thing about it is you can operate a lot of these things from your phone, or you could use a mouse, and you could try to go and click and zoom and all the rest of it. None of them compares with how fantastically easy it is to manipulate a PTZ directly from the joystick itself. The other thing to note here is we didn't go into any menus, we didn't do any of those type of things because you don't need to. People would say you need to address the PTZ and all the rest of it, but you don't. The scenario in which you would is if you had multiple PTZs or multiple joysticks set up on the system, but most people obviously aren't like that. But what you have to do then is you have to have it addressable. Say I'm speaking to this particular PTZ, but on the most straightforward setup like this, it's just incredibly simple. So that's it anyway, how to set up your PTZ to operate directly from a joystick.